Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
So I'm sitting out here in one of the neighborhoods in Fox Lake. The police are back out. They're searching around again. Going out trying to follow up on leads based on the press conference earlier. They said they were going and checking on social media follow or leads that they had. So I guess they're following up on that. The helicopters are back up in the sky now and they're directly overhead. Helping out with the police on the ground. Now this is the back side. This is an abandoned building. Right down here is where Officer Linovich was shot at and killed by the two white male suspects and black suspect. Not sure who which one shot or if all three shot. Or one of the questions asked in the press conference earlier if the cop was shot with his own gun. There's been conflicting reports as well saying that his weapon was taken from him, and then some people are saying that they actually found his weapon at the scene. So they're not really giving us a whole lot. But just further down that way around the corner is where they have the crime scene blocked off. Down there. I walked down that way and the cops stopped me. But you can see in this building right here that's been abandoned, on the other side I walked around and you can see where they kicked in the doors yesterday, I'm assuming. Now you can see there's a railway through here. It's possible that the guys that shot at the officer could have jumped on one of these trains, because all I've seen come through here so far, there's MARTA trains that carry passengers. But this guy's posted up over here watching, stopping and talking to people. And here you go.
So that was Joe Biggs up in Fox Lake. Now, as he was reporting on this isn't even the most recent attack on a police officer. We also saw an attack in Massachusetts where somebody fired at a squad car. And this is a growing problem. We've seen attacks in Houston and Fox Lake and Massachusetts, and not to forget the two officers that were gunned down in their patrol car up in the New York area. So it's a growing problem. And we see all this violent rhetoric of people saying, go out there and kill the cops, oink, oink, bang, bang, and all this other stuff. And I would caution anybody who would go out and try to fire on these police officers, besides the fact that they're on red alert right now, having had multiple attacks all across the country, but also to the fact that the people trying to stir you up to go out and kill these police officers, to instigate violence against these police officers, whether it's on the internet or on the radio or anything else, more than likely are not going to go out and commit that violence themselves. They're going to say, yeah, we should do this, and we. No, they want you to do that violence. They're going to sit at home behind their microphone, behind their laptop camera, and watch you go to jail for these crimes that are being committed against these police officers. Now, we all know there's a lot of police violence in the country, more so now because we see a lot of camera phone videos. We see officers shoot a guy, then walk up and plant some evidence on him, or, we see people get choked out on a videotape or beaten to death over the course of 20 minutes in the case of Kelly Thomas. And people are upset about that. And you have the right to be upset about that. But you definitely need to caution yourself if you let that anger turn into violence, especially against the police force, which is already itching. We see all these purchases of the MRAPs and the body armor and the rubber bullets and all these other things, the tear gas, that they're itching to use. And now they have somewhat of an excuse because they say, well, I can't even go fill up my car without somebody shooting at me, so I need this heavy armor and this MRAP and all these other things that they have. So, it's going to become a larger issue if these attacks continue to happen on police officers. Do some need to be dealt with as far as the legal system is concerned? Absolutely. We see the bad police officers pretty much on a daily basis, but there are also plenty of decent police officers who aren't out there committing violence against the populace at large, and you can't just walk up and kill a guy because he's wearing a uniform. That's the same reason that a lot of the police officers use as far as harassment of people. Well, he looked like a gang member. Well, what's a gang member look like? A guy who has his pants sagging, or a guy who wears a hoodie, or this guy looked like a meth addict, or he looked like he was carrying. Now, those are the same tactics that some law enforcement officers use to harass the general populace. You can't use those same tactics saying he has a uniform just to go and harass a police officer. So hopefully people will learn this sooner than later. But we see this because this has happened where law enforcement is being discriminated against when they just walk into a fast food restaurant. And this is a situation that happened at a Arby's, and this is in Florida, where a officer was refused service because he was wearing his uniform, but the officer was wearing their uniform. So they walk into the store and one of the employees say, "No, I'm not going to serve you here because you're a police officer." And then somebody came out and said they demand an apology from Arby's. And I'm sure Arby's is going to say, well, we don't have this outlook in general. It's just this particular employee who chose to make this call on a particular day. But, things are heating up. They definitely hope personally that they de-escalate because, yes, we have seen negative instances in places like Ferguson and other places around the country, but you also saw positive things in places like Charleston, South Carolina. When I went out there, the police, they were present, but they didn't have MRAPs. They didn't have the big body armor. They were just there pretty much for a crowd control capacity, blocking off streets and doing things of that nature. But, you see that, and now you see other things come out of that. And that's what we saw with this shooter of the two police crew, the two TV crew people. He comes out and he shoots two people and says he was inspired by Dylan Roof to start this race war. And to the people of Charleston, South Carolina, I'm sure they are quite disgusted to see that this man used the actions of Dylan Roof to justify going out and killing somebody, because the people of Charleston, South Carolina, especially the families of the victims and the members of the church out there, said we don't want any racial violence. We don't want this summer of rage or fall of rage or whatever it's going to turn into. They said that they wanted a peaceful solution to these situations. And yes, while they do hope Dylan Roof is held accountable for his actions, they don't want that to spill over to anybody else, whether it's a racial group or religious group or whatever type of group. They don't want that violence to continue because of the actions of Dylan Roof. They're quite disgusted with him, as am I, and anybody else who witnesses these things. And I'm also disgusted on this man who chose to take his firearm and fire on two people for doing their jobs out there. And it wasn't because they were reporters. It was just they were two people out there doing their jobs. And he said he had beef with the young lady. Even if he did, that's not a justification to go and kill these innocent people and wound the innocent lady that they were reporting on. Now, let's talk about people with firearms in general. But because it's getting to the point where some people are somewhat encouraging people to SWAT, as to speak, people who are open carrying or even concealed carrying. Now, for anybody who's not abreast, swatting is something that gained in popularity among video game players. They be playing, whatever video game. They be getting beaten by the guy, so they call up the police station, say, "Hey, this guy, he has a gun. He's holding the family hostage." So then the police officers or the SWAT team will come bust in the door and catch this guy playing video games and eating Cheetos in his underwear and say, "Hey, there's no hostage situation here." But now it's getting to the point where they're just doing this to people on the street. And we have this article, and it says, as more states relax rules about open carrying of guns, the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence has taken to social media to urge the public to assume gun toters are trouble and to call cops on anyone they feel to be a threat. And if you scroll down the article, you can actually see the tweet. And they basically said, if you see someone carrying a firearm in public, openly or concealed, and they definitely put concealed in there, and have any doubts about their intent, call 911 immediately and ask police to the scene. And it goes on and says, you have no idea who this person is, so you need to take the ultimate precautions. And they basically go on to say that you don't know who this person is, so you need to call the police officers on them. And I do understand that a person walking around with a loaded firearm can be somewhat jarring to some people, but you also have to realize the fact that they have people listed here as concealed carriers. Now, many people are licensed concealed carriers. Some people have constitutional carry in their states, which is, to me, perfectly fine and legal. But basically, I have the concern of, some guy going to the local convenience store. He has a concealed carry firearm. He reaches up for a can of peas, and now he has a SWAT team called on him. And we've seen the reports and the videos of people inside of convenience stores or whatever stores, the big box stores, and the cops come and they just shoot the guy instantly because he's holding a BB gun that's pointing at the ground. And I don't want that kind of deal coming around, because it was even a police chief that was recently, I guess for lack of a better term, swatted because some bounty hunters got a bogus tip via social media that there was a fugitive harbored in a police chief's home. They show up and then they have to have it out with the police chief. Luckily, nobody was harmed in that incident, but these are the type of things that can easily happen. You have to take these things under heavy consideration before you endanger somebody else's well-being. Now, while we're talking about the endangerment of people, we've heard a lot about poaching, people going after lions and tigers and bears, trying to get tusks from elephants, but now they're coming after albino children. And it's a very bizarre practice in Tanzania. Hunters in Tanzania have been targeting children for their limbs, believing that they possess supernatural power. So, they've moved away from the animals and, their valuables to now targeting children, which is a very horrific practice and something we definitely don't want to see continue any place in the world. And we'll give you more as that situation develops.
A clean, toxic-free body is the foundation of true health. Introducing Deep Cleanse by InfoWarsLife.com, a scientifically formulated blend of nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients that aid the body in cleansing chemicals and toxic metals. Using our proprietary multi-step extraction technology, Deep Cleanse is our most affordable all-in-one cleanser. With concentrated organic compounds like cilantro, milk thistle, fulvic acid, orange peel, zeolites, and others, Deep Cleanse doesn't hold back. Instead of buying 5, 6, or even 7 different cleansing products, we use decades-old scientific research to put together the Rolls-Royce of all-in-one cleansing. Look, there's a reason Deep Cleanse is the only product on the market that uses our proprietary Spigyrex herbal processing technique. We use only the highest quality organic herbs backed by serious research, and we still bring it to you at the best price out there. If you wish to find Deep Cleanse and experience the all-in-one cleansing, visit InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.